Ever wondered about the different types of tank ammunition used in warfare? Let's start with the earliest, the solid shot rounds. These rounds were simple, solid projectiles, fired at high speeds to penetrate enemy armor. In the early days of tank warfare, they were the go-to choice, valued for their straightforward design and effectiveness. However, solid shots had their limitations, particularly against increasingly thick and sloped armor. Solid shots were the first step into tank warfare, setting the stage for more advanced ammunition. Moving forward in time, we encounter armor-piercing and armor-piercing composite rigid rounds. These rounds were designed to do one thing: penetrate enemy armor. Armor-piercing, or AP rounds, traditionally use a solid steel core to break through thick armor, whereas armor-piercing composite rigid, or APCR rounds, utilize a composite core often made of tungsten for increased penetration. Historically, AP rounds were the go-to for tanks, providing a reliable way to deal damage to enemy vehicles. However, as armor technology advanced, so too did ammunition. Enter APCR rounds, which were developed during the Second World War. They were designed to counter heavily armored tanks, boasting a greater penetrating power than their AP counterparts. Despite their enhanced performance, APCR rounds had limitations. They were more expensive to produce, and less effective at long ranges due to their lighter weight. Nonetheless, AP and APCR rounds significantly changed the face of tank warfare, providing a much-needed solution for armor penetration. Next, we delve into the blend of sheer strength and deep penetration, APHE and high-explosive rounds. The APHE, or armor-piercing high-explosive rounds, are an intriguing marriage of armor penetration and explosive might. These rounds were engineered to penetrate the armor of hostile tanks and then detonate, wreaking internal destruction. However, despite its initial promise, the APHE rounds were not as successful as anticipated. The explosive filler, although designed to cause internal damage, often proved inefficient. The main reason was that it didn't always detonate as planned after penetrating the armor, or sometimes it would detonate prematurely, resulting in reduced impact. This inconsistency hindered the overall effectiveness of the APHE rounds. The dual-purpose nature of APHE rounds did make them a force on the battlefield to some extent, but their limitations were hard to ignore. On the other hand, we have the high-explosive, or HE rounds. Contrary to APHE, these rounds focus purely on explosive power without specialized armor penetration. They are typically deployed against lightly armored or unarmored opponents like infantry buildings. The sheer explosive power of HE rounds makes them incredibly useful in a variety of tactical situations. Both APHE and HE rounds played crucial roles in the evolution of tank warfare, despite the limitations of APHE. Their unique capabilities provided tactical advantages that were previously unheard of. Indeed, APHE and HE rounds added a new layer to tank warfare, fusing power and strategy. As warfare evolved, so did tank ammunition. Enter HESH and HEAT rounds. HESH, or high-explosive squash head rounds, introduced a unique way to combat enemy structures. Rather than piercing through armor, HESH rounds squash against surface before exploding, sending a shockwave through the material that can cause internal damage without breaching the outer layer. This made them particularly effective against fortifications and less armored targets. However, despite their innovative mechanics, HESH rounds had their limitations. Their effectiveness was greatly reduced against composite or reactive armors, leading them be less successful in certain combat situations. Now, let's switch gears to HEAT, standing for high-explosive anti-tank rounds. These rounds utilize a shaped charge to penetrate armor. Upon impact, the explosive is shaped to focus the blast energy into a narrow metal jet, capable of piercing thick armor. This made HEAT rounds a game-changer in tank warfare, especially when they were introduced during World War II. Both HESH and HEAT rounds brought unique capabilities to the battlefield, redefining how tanks engaged enemy armor and structures. But while HEAT rounds continued to be effective, HESH rounds faced limitations with evolving armor technologies. HESH and HEAT rounds introduced innovative ways to tackle different types of armor and structures, but the success of HESH rounds was comparatively limited. Let's move on to more specialized ammunition, canister and APFSDS rounds. First up, canister rounds. These rounds are essentially the tank's version of a shotgun blast. Instead of a single projectile, a canister round fires a multitude of smaller pellets or ball bearings, making it highly effective against clustered infantry. Its dispersion pattern and effective range make it a powerful anti-personnel tool. However, it's important to note that canister rounds lack the armor-piercing capabilities of other ammunition types. Now let's talk about APFSDS, or armor-piercing fin-stabilized discarding sabot rounds. These are some of the most technologically advanced rounds in a tank's arsenal. The sabotage mechanism allows for an incredibly high muzzle velocity, while the fin stabilization ensures the round stays on target. This combination of speed and accuracy gives APFSDS rounds a significant advantage over traditional AP rounds. In real-world scenarios, APFSDS rounds have proven to be extremely effective, often being the deciding factor in tank engagements. Canister and APFSDS rounds brought diversity and precision to tank warfare. Lastly, we have the latest in tank ammunition, HESH and Proxy Fuze HE Rounds. The HESH, or high-explosive anti-tank fin-stabilized rounds, are a modern marvel in tank warfare. Their unique design combines the power of a high-explosive round with a shaped charge to defeat armor, and the addition of fin stabilization ensures accuracy over longer distances. This round is versatile, capable of dealing with a broad range of threats on the battlefield. Instances of their effectiveness are numerous, with these rounds playing a pivotal role in many modern conflicts. Now, let's shift gears to the Proxy Fuze high-explosive rounds. These rounds introduce a new level of precision to tank warfare. The Proxy Fuze technology allows the round to detonate in proximity to the target, even without a direct hit. This makes them especially effective in scenarios where precision is key, such as engaging fast-moving targets or targets in cover. The round's ability to cause significant damage without requiring pinpoint accuracy showcases their effectiveness in real-world situations. These two types of rounds embody the evolution of tank ammunition. From the basic solid-shot rounds to the advanced HESH and Proxy Fuze HE rounds, we can see the leaps and bounds in technology and battlefield strategy. HESH and Proxy Fuze HE rounds are the pinnacle of tank ammunition so far, demonstrating how far we've come since the days of solid-shot rounds. So we've journeyed through the evolution of tank ammunition, from solid-shot rounds to the latest Proxy Fuze HE rounds. We've seen how each type of ammo has played its part in shaping the history of tank warfare. The solid shot, the old workhorse, reliable and straightforward. The armor-piercing rounds evolving over time to defeat increasingly better armor. The high-explosive rounds bringing raw power to the battlefield, and the cleverly designed HESH rounds with their unique anti-structure capabilities. The canister rounds reminding us that tanks sometimes have to deal with more than just other tanks. The fin-stabilized rounds bringing a new level of accuracy and effectiveness. And finally, the Proxy Fuze rounds, showcasing the precision that modern technology can bring. Each one a testament to human ingenuity in the face of adversity. As technology continues to advance, who knows what the future holds for tank ammunition? But one thing is certain, it will be as fascinating as its history.